So good morning. Hope you slept well. The light, still the light of the moon. I don't know if the whole night, but it was half, not 3/4 of a moon. Yeah. So good morning. So this morning we have a chance to start exploring the topic of peace in oneself, peace in the world, which more concretely, I find that this is a nice sentence, but we need to bring it to our life, right? So I thought it would be nice for us to explore what we call the Six Paramitas, but we'll get there soon. Maybe some of you know it. So yesterday, Kaomai asked us to think, what does peace mean to us? I think it wasn't an easy question, right? But we can think maybe the other way around. When there is no peace, what kind of suffering is being caused, right? In the world, in ourselves, in our relationship. So that may be another way of thinking about it. And maybe we can think more concretely, ask ourselves, how can I bring peace or harmony to my own world, my inner world? So, my inner kingdom. So Thich Nhat Hanh called, Thich Nhat Hanh is Thai, is the teacher from our lineage. He called the 5 skandhas, I will explain right away. The 5 skandhas, he called that our kingdom. So we are the sovereign of our kingdom and we want to take good care of it, okay? Bring harmony. So the 5 skandhas are a basic Buddhist teaching that is just there to help us be practical with the way we practice our meditation and mindfulness. It's not a scientific term, it's more like of 5 areas in our lives that are very significant, right? So it's the body. Oh, that doesn't work very well. 5 skandhas, okay? In English, it means aggregate, something that is made up of other things. Does anyone know how to write aggregates in English? Double G? Double G. A, E. Yeah, thank you. So aggregate is something, so the body is made of many things, right? Water, earth, air, veins, different tissues. So that's an aggregate. It's a combination of some things, right? So body, feelings. I will talk a little bit more about feelings. It's pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. Okay, we have it all the time. Perceptions. So a perception is, so right now a feeling could be, I'm feeling full because I just ate, and my mind, before I know it, decides if it's pleasant or unpleasant or not important. Okay? And then perceptions are an extra sort of layer of what we decide something is or is not. So there are mountains around us, and there's trees that, what's the name of the tree? Mélèze in French. Okay. Large. And so we can decide that they are beautiful, that they are important, that there are all kinds of things, but they're just there. We decide how we relate to them. We don't really decide, we kind of have perceptions. And those perceptions really affect our lives, how we relate to ourselves and others, okay? mental formations. Formation, again, is this similar word to aggregate. So it's all the emotions and also mental faculties, okay? So it's a lot of things, right? And then the fifth one is consciousness, okay? So of course, feelings and perceptions and mental formations are also mental, right? They're also consciousness. But consciousness means the larger term, including all of the seeds in us that we didn't meet yet, including the collective consciousness. So that's a larger term. And these are like 5 rivers. They always change. Something is always happening. Right now we're all digesting, so our body is doing something. We have all sorts of feelings. We may have thoughts that we're not even aware of, and so on. So Thich Nhat Hanh says, this is our kingdom, and we want to take good care of it. Because the suggestion is that our well-being doesn't necessarily depend only on outer conditions, but on the quality of our 5 skandhas, okay? Our kingdom. So this is our kingdom. So if you want to have a more modern term, you can, kingdom, I don't know, what would you like to call it? Republic, maybe, something. So this is what we want to be aware of. Sorry that I'm writing like that. We have a chance here we don't do much. So we have a chance to stop and say, oh, my body. Maybe I'm noticing something very small, like holding my shoulders. Can I relax them? That's already taking care of my kingdom. And the same with the other rivers flowing as feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. We can just notice. And every time we notice, we have a chance to take care. So that's the practice, and the 6 Paramitas help us to do it. So we'll get there soon. So we want to take care of our kingdom to create that inner peace. So if you can call it another name, harmony or wisdom or calm. And then that doesn't mean, if I'm calm, it doesn't mean that everything is fine. There may be things that disturb me. But if I'm calm, if I touch my inner calm or inner peace, my action with what disturbs me can be more beneficial and less confrontational, less maybe aggressive. So that's one of the things this calligraphy can mean is that. What do I want to give out to the world? Because I'm part of the world. And we are interrelated, so we affect each other, so we notice also that. How does certain things affect me? News, other people, etc. So when we take care of ourselves, we also take care of the world and the relationship. Okay, so that's the kind of thought behind that. So I can tell you that you probably all know that there was there still is, but for 2 years there was a bitter war in Israel, where I live, Israel and Gaza and other places. And when I have more wisdom about the whole thing, I'll tell you. But right now, the wisdom I have is about how does being in a war zone affect you physically. So physically, you're constantly under stress and fear, constantly. So you can imagine that your body is constantly alert for 2 years. And that affects your brain. You cannot concentrate, cannot make decisions for the long run, and all of that. So can you practice in this situation? Can one practice in this situation? And it may be that you have experienced extreme stress for other reasons, sickness, loss, accident, whatever. Is it possible to practice also in this situation? The answer is yes, but it's a different practice. I cannot practice the same when I'm feeling a lot of stress as when I'm quite calm. I have to adjust my practice. So for me, what I did is I really took care of my body more. I went for a walk. I did things that I never did before, like, if you know, there's tapping, things like that. I never did it before because I never needed it. Things like that, so that my brain feels a little bit calmer. And sometimes, like I do now, I went out of Israel to kind of de-stress, because I could. Some other people cannot do it. So, and emotionally, of course, your heart breaks all the time. It's a stressful situation, but your heart breaks. And when the reality touches you strongly, and that can happen from the outside or from the inside. Sometimes something comes up and we're affected, right? We don't know even what it is, but it comes up and we're affected by it. It touches us, and first of all, it creates very natural physical reactions that we can just be aware of, but it also touches on what we can call our bodyguards, our inner bodyguards, right? Our sort of monsters, little monsters inside are awakened. And then we have a chance to either practice with them or not. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? The reality touches us, and the imprints in us are awakened. The imprints, the personal imprints and collective imprints. And that is when we really want to notice if we can practice or not. So usually when a monster comes up in us, a monster is not a bad word. It's just something that we don't know what to do. We don't know yet what it is, right? So we usually do one of four things. We repress. It's like, go back inside. We ignore. We're numb, Or we want to solve it right away. What shall we do? What can I do? Let's do this. Let's do that. And if you can remember a time when you were feeling bad and somebody tried to solve it for you and how annoying it was, that's what we try to do a lot. And the fourth thing is we indulge, we get carried away. We let the monster lead the way. So these are the four things we might do when we get, sort of touched by reality and things are activated in us. And this is why we want to practice. We want to practice to befriend our monsters. And instead of indulging or repressing or being numb, which can happen, or feeling helpless, because there's only that much we can do with the outer situation, we practice. We practice cultivating what? Cultivating those qualities, which we'll speak about soon, but it's really our inner strength, our inner, we could say, love, essence, or wisdom. That's what we want to do, even in the toughest situations. When our monsters, what do they usually, something is difficult. So my monster comes up, what would it want to do usually? We're uncomfortable. What do we usually want to do? We're annoyed and we're uncomfortable. What do you usually do? We say, let me find my peace now. Or do we do something else? Like, for example, do you have examples? What have you seen in the world that happens when we're upset? We want to destroy, maybe, or we want to hide, right? Leave me alone, yeah. What else? Blindness, what, yeah. Blame anyone? No? You ever? Yeah. We want to blame, we want to punish, we want to deny, we want to ignore, we want to scream, we want to give up, all sorts of things, right? So what we do is notice that. And when we notice that, it has less power. And even if we notice those energies in us, we already have peace because we notice them and we befriend them, okay? So that's a kind of a relationship that we want to develop. And in a state of war, I can say that the biggest challenge is not to hate, right? Not to hate. Not necessarily enemies, but even your government, things like you want. It's easy to hate because it's more difficult to feel the pain. So, but we do it, all of us. It's easier for us to feel the more, how should I say, harder feelings rather than the softer, vulnerable feelings, right? It's not so easy to be vulnerable. So this is why we need the 6 Paramitas to help us with that. And in order to do that, we first need to feel grounded. So we need to work with our body like we're doing here, like we did this morning. We need to calm our body, and then we can work with the more subtle, maybe more complicated things. And we, as much as we're tempted to always solve things around us, even in a relationship, maybe there's a conflict, it's really helpful to always first start with ourselves. Always look what's happening inside. Take care of ourselves. And this is from my experience. If you have a different experience, you can tell me. But this is my experience. It's always helpful to start with ourselves, to take care of our kingdom. And we take care of our kingdom, we have more perspective, more insight, and we can act in a better way, like I said. So maybe we'll listen to the bell, take care of our kingdom, and then continue. Yeah, so the 6 paramitas, which are, I put it on the board like Thai would do in a kind of flower, because it's not a linear thing. It goes around, right? So Dana is generosity, Shila is ethics, the 5 mindfulness trainings. Kshanti is patience or inclusiveness. Virya is effort or energy. Dhyana is meditation, basically. Zen, same word. And prajna is wisdom or insight. Okay. So they are a concrete expression that we can practice in our life of what we call bodhicitta, the mind of love, our innermost aspiration to do good, for ourselves and for others. But sometimes we get carried away with the monsters and we forget our deepest aspiration, and we forget how do we want to apply it. And sometimes we forget because we have hard times, but sometimes we forget also in good times. We feel so good that we forget about what's important for us. Did it happen to you? You feel kind of high and you forget what's important to you. High not necessarily on drugs, but just kind of you feel so good about yourself that you forget what's important. So that can also happen. And the ground for that is always, as I said, calming the body. I'll just say very briefly, we won't go into it, but as far as I know, when they did the, neurologists investigated the brain, they discovered 3 mechanisms of survival. One is threat, right? Fight, flight, freeze, we all know that, right? Something happens, I need to jump. I don't think, I jump, I save myself. Or punch, sometimes we need to kind of get something out of the way. Threat. The second one is, what's the word in English? Reward, the reward system. So we need to, in order to survive, we need to eat, right? We need to cover ourselves with clothes. The baby is a new baby, they need to eat. The first thing they do is look for something to eat, right? That's normal. But sometimes it goes out of control, and we keep thinking that we need something when we already don't. So it's an overdrive. We keep looking for something all the time, tapping on things and looking, and we don't feel satisfied, never, right? And the threat system, again, we need it, but sometimes it goes overboard. We see threat when there isn't a threat. But we need them to survive. And the third one that we need to survive is the soothing system. We need that to survive. We need to bond. We need to play in order to survive. That's all mammals need that. So all of that practice of the paramitas and compassion is built on that soothing system, on the capacity to calm. Otherwise, our brain cannot function in a way that has a perspective. So remember that. First of all, we need to create a grounding in ourselves. Like I said yesterday, the brain, the intellect works fast, the body and heart works slower, so we slow down, okay? So this is kind of the basis, and then this is the start of practicing the 6 paramitas as a concrete way to find peace in ourselves, in our life. So what is paramita? The word paramita, let's write it on the board. Do you know, so how many of you know that term, paramita? You know it? No? Okay. Yeah, so it has 2 meanings, 2 ways. It's a Sanskrit word, and it can be translated in 2 ways. It has 2 meanings. One is perfection. Perfection of what? Perfection of wisdom, okay? But we don't need to be perfect. We want to perfect our wisdom all the time. There's no one perfect thing. We want to perfect it all the time. And the other meaning is crossing to the other shore. These are the 2 meanings of that word. So crossing to what shore? From which shore to what shore? So I would say from the shore of our monsters that have perceptions, imprints from our past, to the shore of freedom, okay? From the shore of anger and fear, which are all okay. It's not wrong to feel anger and fear and anxiety. It's not wrong. But we want to invite them to the other shore of, maybe I'm sad. What do I need? Stuff like that. To the shore of compassion, of love, and of the paramitas. And the paramitas help us to do that, it's like the boat helping us to the other shore, when in fact there are no 2 shores. It's the same. But just for the sake of the image, is we want to cross to the other shore with the help of the paramitas. So it's a very nice image. And also the idea of perfection, not as a goal, but as we can always do more. We can always learn more or practice more the paramitas. So today I think we will have time to go into 3 of them, or at least start, and then tomorrow we have time to go to the other 3. So we want to cross from the shore of suffering to the shore of compassion, of understanding. We don't create more inner fights. So sometimes we feel like we're practitioners and we're better than others, right? So if we practice the paramitas, say giving, right? It's not charity, for example. It's not charity, it's giving. Without even thinking, I'm giving to someone. Someone here is giving to someone. We need to let go of the sense of kind of ego when we practice that. We want to do that. We want to try to let go of that sense of ego when we practice the paramitas. Not think I'm better than someone when I do it. So that's kind of the spirit of it. And to me, it's about the paramitas, and the practice in general is about creating a deep connection with life. This is what we all want, right? We want a deep connection. We want to feel safe. And we look for safety in all sorts of places. Sometimes we want to destroy in order to feel safe. Does it work? maybe sometimes, maybe for a little bit. We feel good and then not. So that is the one way of thinking about it. It's a way to create a deep connection between ourselves and ourselves and others, ourselves and the world. It's a way of relating, okay? Having a deep connection to life. And then when we have that, we feel safe. So if a baby cries and then mommy or someone comes to pick it up, oftentimes their crying stops right away, right? Because the safety is already doing what the baby needed. So we are the same. Sometimes we just need to remind ourselves, how can we feel safe? Even in difficult situations, we can do that. So this is kind of the background. And I want to bring, first, before we dive into each one of them, something that I learned from a teacher called Dharma. He's a kind of an ancient Zen master. And he suggested to connect the paramitas with our senses. Okay? I will tell you, each paramita can connect to a sense. Eyes, ears, nose, touch, and so on. And I find that it's very smart because our senses, the contact that our senses have with anything can really take us to many directions, right? We see something, we react to it, we hear something. And I realize that a lot of, like, for example, social media works on that. It hooks us right away, and we react automatically, and it's just, it goes nowhere. So we want to kind of invite our senses to practice in accord with our innermost intention, aspiration. So this is why I find it very, very smart and something we can practically do in the retreat. Whenever we see something, we think of Dana Paramita, of giving. Instead of, coffee, I want it, which happened to me this morning. I really wanted the coffee, so, which is okay. But imagine every time you engage your senses, you think about the paramitas. You remember your innermost aspiration. I think that's very powerful, and I tried it for a while. That's why I want to offer it also to you, that sort of practice. It's a practice. So I'll just, first of all, I know it's a little bit a lot for today, but it may be helpful for you to kind of understand why is it clever to connect our senses to the practice, okay? So let's say I'm seeing something or I'm smelling something, okay? And what happens unconsciously, immediately, all the time, is this. We have a contact. Let's say I see something, I see something, whatever, a candle, okay? Okay? So that's contact, right? By the way, we usually say that we have 5 senses, and here there's 6. So what's the 6th sense? Our mind, okay? Because it has an object. So that's just for you to know. It's in Buddhism, it's considered. So there's contact, okay? Immediately when there's contact, there's attention. Our mind goes somewhere. And usually that happens unconsciously. Okay? We can bring attention to it. We can bring awareness to it, sorry. But the attention itself, contact and attention happen like that, in the split of a second. Then we have feeling. It's pleasant, I want it. It's unpleasant, I don't want it. It's neutral, I don't care about it. So let's say it would be snowing now. I wish, but maybe some of you don't. So for me, it would be a very pleasant feeling. But maybe for someone else, it would, I don't feel like snow. I hate the snow. And for someone else, they wouldn't care. So we think the feeling is inherent to the object, but really it's not. So that's why it's so important to notice what's happening when we have contact. Okay? Attention, feeling, perception. Again, I already said it. The snow is bad. The snow is good. I'm just giving a very simple example. The snow is nothing. It's just water, frozen. So, and then we have volition. Volition is the first movement of I will do something with it or get away from it. Okay? Good, bad, not, don't care. What am I going to do? It's very fast. It's not a real kind of, wow, I'm planning, I want to come to the retreat, I will plan, I will buy a train ticket. No, it's a very, very kind of immediate thing. This happens all the time. That's why we want to be aware of our senses. And we have a great opportunity here. We're in a beautiful place. There's not many temptations. We're all here together practicing. We have a chance to look at our senses and how do we react. And sometimes the way we respond is habitual. So we can notice that too. Okay? So this is called a 5 universal mental formations, but it's okay. You don't need to remember that. So this is it clear? Why is it kind of very significant in our life? It happens all the time. We're not aware of it. And we can go grab something before we noticed. Or we can push someone away before we even know them, right? So that's kind of like so let's go to the connection, and you can see if you want to practice it today with your senses. This is the magic of why I wanted to share what Bodhidharma offered. So here you can think of practice of giving, of generosity, which we'll talk about more in detail soon, with the eye sense of seeing, okay? So if you think of anything you come in contact with your eyes visually and give rise to the paramita of generosity, see what happens. So for me, when I look at those mountains, the first feeling is I want them. I want to go there. I want to take a photo. But now if I will try to think I become greedy because I don't have those mountains where I live. So, and it's good. I feel nourished by them. But if I think of that same thing with the spirit of generosity, maybe I would think they're beautiful. I would like to protect them. Something like that. Not being so, kind of self-righteous, but just feeling in your heart what is it that you can offer. So this is when you contact something with your eyes. If you think of the spirit of generosity, what does it do to you? Okay, and now we have Sheila, hearing. It's very interesting. So ear, right? A lot of the times, it's difficult for us to practice ethics is with talking, right? Because talking has to do with thinking. It's easy to say, gossip, things like that. When we hear something, we have, we forget what's important for us. So it's very interesting, this connection, I find. So Shila basically means if you want a very simple, we'll talk about it, but if you want a very simple definition, is non-harming. How can I not burden myself and other people? So that's Kshanti has to do with which sense, what do you think? Kshanti is patience. So what Bodhidharma says that it's good to think of when we smell something, to have patience, to not immediately react. Okay? Interesting. So patience, meaning inclusiveness. I embrace all experiences. So the sense of smell is very primal, but we usually don't notice it. But it's very primal, it's very significant. Virya, he connected it to the sense of taste, so mouth, okay? Virya is effort, or right effort. So again here, mouth as maybe actually, but also our tendency to attach ourselves to something that we think we really need, and our capacity to destroy things on the way to get what we think we need, right? So this is, again, being aware of that, of our, we may really need something, but what we need may be different from what we think we need, and how. So it's like kind of have more stability around that. Then we have the touch, right? Touch. So it is just everything that we feel with our skin, with our body, inside our body, and makes us move uncomfortably. So if we practice meditation and we cultivate stability, instead of moving uncomfortably, we stay with it and we care for it, okay? So that's kind of an answer for reactivity. We calm. And this prajna, of course, is to work with our mind, right? And mainly with our perceptions. So we see an object of seeing, right? Ear, we have an object, a sound, and so on. And here, the mind has an object of mind, and we have a perception about our objects of mind. And most of our perceptions are wrong, or at least not fully right, okay? That's why we need prajna. Prajna is the ability to let go of our opinions and to meet reality as it is without our definitions. So do you think it's practical to practice this way, yeah? During the day? So it requires awareness, because I'm not always aware of what my mind is doing. It requires some awareness of noticing what I'm thinking, what I'm touching, what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing. Interesting, huh? Interesting take. So let's hear the sound of the bell and then we can continue. If I speak too quick, let me know, okay? So just to add one more thing is that you can see how engaging our senses during the day can bring us peace or bring us the opposite of peace, right? So far, any remarks or questions until now? Yeah.
About volition?
Volition.
Where do you put it in the flower? I mean,
These are things that happen to us every time we come in contact. So volition is everywhere. It's everywhere. So these are the basic universal mental formations. They always happen. And they can go in this direction or that direction. So we can engage them in either way. So I think it goes everywhere, unless Jackson or Karomai or Florent, you have another idea, you could let me know. But that's what I think. Yeah. meditation. Yeah.
Write the Six Paramitas.
In English, I'll write it in English. Good idea. I'm writing giving. It's all usually generosity, but I don't know why I feel like saying giving. This is ethics, okay? Patience. And Thich Nhat Hanh says inclusiveness, okay? So let's write. Ria is effort, but it's right effort. Sometimes we make an effort and it goes nowhere, right? So it's right effort. Dhyana is meditation. And prajna is insight or wisdom. Prajna paramita is... so in the Mahayana tradition, there is a huge body of work that relates to this paramita. But we don't need to learn it now, it's okay. Okay, any other questions or... Okay, so let's start with Dana Paramita, generosity. It sounds like a very noble thing, but really we give things all the time, and it's very natural, right? For kids, they have something, this thing that they take a bite and they give you the rest, like it's just natural. It's not a complicated thing, but we get complicated around it because we think this is mine, you are you, and so on. So maybe the practice here is again also to see how do we engage with our senses, and also to think in any given situation, especially if we feel sort of caught up in ourselves, it really helps sometimes to think instead of what is happening, what is the other person thinking, what do I need, is to think, what do I want to offer in this situation? It really does help. It really does help sometimes. It kind of changes everything, changes the perspective. What is my unique contribution to this situation? What can I bring? And it may be that I also need something, it's fine. But what can I bring? What can I contribute? So that's a kind of a way of thinking that can really help us. Actually, especially if we feel kind of not so confident, absorbed in ourselves, that can really help. So I had this not so nice interaction with someone I'm working with, and my monsters keep wanting to retaliate, but then I stop and I say, what can I bring to the situation? I can speak in a different way. It's not easy, I'm not saying it's easy, but it does work. I see that it does work if I manage to do that. So that's kind of one example. And we can only give what we have, right? We can't give what we don't have. So if we're sick and not feeling well, we shouldn't start thinking about what can I give, right? We should just take care of ourselves. Or if we're not feeling well, we just take care before we think of giving. So it's kind of this very natural state of being, of giving. And when you hear about generosity or giving, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? What is a good gift, a good present? What is the first thing that comes to your mind? When you want to give someone something because you love them, what do you think of giving? Hey? A smile. Okay. Support. Yeah. That's it? Okay, so we can offer many things, right? We can offer material stuff. we can offer the Dharma. The Dharma is the practice, which is a smile, support. And we can offer something that is called non-fear. If we are not afraid, we can offer it. If we are afraid, it's hard to offer, right? So non-fear is based on basically prajna paramita. So you see how they're all interconnected. We non-fear, not in a stupid way, it's not scary, don't worry, no. But a real non-fear is like, this is the situation, and let's see what we can do about it. That's non-fear. So these are the three gifts, and the gift of non-fear is considered better than the gift of the Dharma, of the practice, even. Because it's freedom. It give you freedom. So how can these gifts manifest in our life? What can we offer? Physically and mentally, what can we offer to each other? So for example, in this retreat, we practice together, and I immediately feel how practicing together is easier than practicing alone, right? Why? Nobody does anything, nobody gives me something so I can practice, but what you all do is you give me, offer me, and we offer each other your presence, right? You are present in a way of a practice, and that's how we support each other, and we all feel it. So the first thing we can offer is our presence. We're just there, but we are really there. It's not our body here and our mind is somewhere else. We're really here. So that's a gift already. That goes a long, long way. We can offer stability. If we have more stability, just if someone walks next to me and they're stable, that's already a gift to me. You see, the giving is also not necessarily direct. It can be indirect. And any quality that we have, we can offer. Joy, peace, freedom, freshness. And as I said before, it's different from charity. Charity, a lot of the times, it's wonderful, but many times, at least I feel, when there's you put a little thing somewhere that I feel pity. I feel, oh, poor them, I'll give them something, That's not real generosity because it separates me from them. Okay, so do you see the difference? And I don't really want to know them either. It's like I'd rather not. So that's different from generosity. Is like we're here together. We share something. And again, not that charity is bad, but you can notice that a lot of times when you engage in charity, it's not exactly full-hearted generosity. It's a bit of a, you're there and I'm here, and I can give you. So that's kind of, again, what is the spirit of this kind of generosity? And there is a very interesting practice that the Buddha suggested. He said, if you're angry with someone, and you did all kinds of things, you tried to talk, and nothing worked, try giving them a present. A present, an actual present. And I did try it sometimes, and there's something about it. Because you get out of your, whatever you're stuck in, the other person is surprised, and you maybe get to see each other in a different light, see different things in each other. It's a beginning. I'm not saying it's the end of and it doesn't always work. Sometimes people get annoyed when you give them, so give me something, you try to control me. But it can work. I did try it. It can work. And you have to do it, wisely, not ceremoniously. Here, I'm giving you a real practice. Yeah.
Is Dharma always external?
No. None of this is only external. Absolutely not.
It could also be like giving.
Absolutely. Very good question. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Generous with ourselves. Again, if I want to offer something to someone, I have to have it. So if I'm only generous with others and not with myself, that generosity would probably become sticky at some point because I depend on it, I rely on it. So that's a very good point. Everything that I'm describing is also inside to ourselves. Yeah. So you can try giving a gift to someone you're upset with, wisely though, and it can do something to a relationship. And in it there is a wisdom. There's a prajna paramita that when someone hurts us, it's probably because they're suffering or they're not seeing something. They have wrong perceptions. So we don't get caught in that. We don't get caught in that, noisy sort of kind of exchange. So, any questions or remarks about this practice of giving and engaging our eyes with that? Anything you want to share about that? Yeah. And giving to someone that's not easy to give to is, I tried in the war, I tried that. I gave to people that are not easy for me to give to, and it was good. It started to change my perception. So again, you see what you asked before, where do these go? They go everywhere. Contact and attention and feeling and perception, volition go everywhere. Okay, so now we can go to the second one, Shila, which is ethics. A lot of times when people speak about mindfulness now, they forget the aspect of ethics. But in any spiritual practice, it's not possible to not practice ethics, or the spirit of non-harming, or the spirit of non-attachment, non-greed. Just to give one example, if I steal a car in the evening and try to sit for meditation in the morning, it will not work because my mind will not be at ease. See what I mean? This is a very exaggerated example. Usually if I practice meditation, I wouldn't want to steal anyway, but it happens. We get greedy and we want to take something that doesn't belong to us. We wouldn't be peaceful. Our mind wouldn't be peaceful. So it goes together. And sometimes we do things that later we say, why did I do it? It's not right. Okay, now I can correct it. So if you notice the 5 mindfulness trainings, we're very lucky because Thich Nhat Hanh took time to renew the text of the 5 mindfulness trainings, which were originally no killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no lying, and no drugs. Right? No drugs, I think. Yeah. We all take drugs. Yeah. Did you ever take a painkiller? Is it a drug or not? A drug. So we can't be so strict, right? So Thich Nhat Hanh changed it instead of, so it doesn't feel so don't, and somebody's telling you what to do. I'm aware of the suffering that is caused by something, and therefore I want to practice with it. I want to respect life. I want to be aware of how greed can cause suffering and what is the source of real happiness. I want to be aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct. Not sex, but sexual misconduct, right? Or even the way I look at people, I want to be aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others. So, and that's, of course, the first thing is lying. But even if I say the truth, it's not always helpful. And then aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption of anything, consumption of anything. So this is and you can read them, they're worded very beautifully. It's not an order from God. It's a practice that if you want, you can practice. If you choose not to, then you don't have to. So a lot of people interpret the 5th mindfulness training as not consuming meat. But some people don't, they may interpret it otherwise. The 5th and the 1st is not consuming meat, but that's sort of, the spirit is the spirit of ahimsa, of non-harming. And we will speak about that a little bit, in a bit. Being aware of suffering, I want to give rise to compassion, and then how does that lead me, my actions in my life? So here, if you want a simpler version, that's a lot of words. But if you want to be lazy and just think simply, okay, what is important to me? It's very simple. There's the 3 pure precepts, okay? Ethics. We're talking about Shila now, okay? Do no harm. Is it easy to do no harm? Even if we want to not do harm? It's not so easy, right? It sounds, refrain from doing evil. Do no harm. We need a lot of insight for that. We need a lot of compassion. Sometimes we really want to help and we just do. We mess up, right? Do no harm. Do good. Yeah, do good. Yeah. Is this our motivation always to do good? Another wording is practice all that is good. Practice all that is good. So even if we spend our time, idle time, idle meaning we just waste our time. According to this, it's not great if we scroll endlessly, and things like that. We all do it, but then we can remember, well, is it doing good? No. Not doing bad, but not doing good. Okay. And then the third one has 2 kind of aspects to it. Is for the benefit of all beings. All of this is not just for me, it's for the benefit of all beings. And the other aspect of it is to purify our mind. Purify doesn't mean that we're pure and perfect. Purify our mind from our monsters, okay? From our afflictions. It's not pure, the opposite of defiled. It's pure in the sense of we're clean of wrong perceptions. So if our mind is clear, we naturally will do that. We will naturally do it. So that's the simple version of the 5 mindfulness trainings in 3 sentences, okay? Too easy to remember. If you want to practice out of compassion, out of loving kindness. Today, this afternoon, we will practice metta meditation, which is one expression of do good. We'll hear about it this afternoon. And these are connected to what is called the 3 poisons, or the 3 main monsters that we all have. Do you know the term 3 poisons? Does anyone know that? No. It's 3 mental formations that we all have that cause a lot of suffering. Can cause, not always. It's not always like that, but they can cause, it can get us in trouble. Okay, so it's anger, greed, and ignorance. Okay, so when we get angry, it's easy for us to do harm because our mind is very focused on one little thing, right? Narrow focus, and we're blind to other things. And when we're greedy, it's easy for us to forget to do good because we want something so much. Everything, get out of my way, right? And when we're ignorant, we don't see things clearly, and we miss when we can hurt ourselves or others. So we want to have, to purify our mind, to have the opposite of ignorance, which is wisdom, not distorting our perception. I heard a very nice definition of ignorance, that not knowing, I'm confused. I don't know. That it includes not wanting to know. I don't want to know. prefer not to know, because then I don't have to do anything. Or it's too much for me to know. And we all do it, so don't think that we all do it. We sometimes don't want to know. It's too much. So we want to make our heart bigger, so we don't need to ignore things. Because ignore ignorance, right? So that's kind of... And ignoring causes a lot of suffering, What is one of the worst punishments in the past for someone in a community? Excommunication, right? Ignore you. You don't exist anymore. So we can see how, doing good for the benefit of all beings, meaning we will not excommunicate you. We will not ignore you. Or we will not ignore the monsters inside of us, or the beautiful monsters inside of us. It doesn't have to be monsters, okay? So that's anything around the practice of ethics you want to share or ask. No? Yeah?
For me, it's like the story you shared about giving a present to someone who is, well, who's not easy to give a present to, and also the ethical aspect. For me, it feels a lot of bringing up energy to do that for someone. I don't want to have anything. I don't want to have contact with him.
Yeah.
So
you practice in the spirit of non-harming. You don't force yourself. You never force yourself. There's no point in forcing yourself. If you're not ready, you're not ready. That's fine. Maybe it's not the right thing either. But you can look inside and see if it's something in you that says, I don't want it. I want to punish. And that's okay too. See what I mean? It's just a suggestion, and maybe it's not the wise thing in every case. So I don't know if that's what you were asking.
Yeah, it is. I think it's a lot about giving away one's energy and looking if it's not just too much to give all the energy away.
But the idea is that you give something, but it's an exchange. It becomes an exchange. If it doesn't become an exchange, then there's no point. In some cases, it doesn't help, so it's okay. We have to be wise, okay? We have to have prajna. Anything else regarding that so far? Yeah.
We were talking about not taking, maybe it's a reflection after you, not taking people as a burden for us. So could you just develop a little bit?
I'm not sure.
In the ethics side of the battle,
Yeah.
you talked about, you said, try...
Not to burden others. Not to burden others. I think that's what I said. So not to burden others. It's a nice way of thinking about it. Instead of I need to do good things, just whatever you do, see if it may burden somebody else. And again, not to make ourselves small or anything, but if I take coffee and I can clean after me, that's not burdening the next person. That's it. That's what it means. I think that's what you're talking about. Yeah. One of my teachers in the monastery told me that the ethics are about not. People have a hard life anyway. Let's see how we can not burden each other, and that's really helped me to sort of. It's actually an act of giving. I give them something that they didn't even know they needed, right? Yeah. So this can actually be in a very small things, even can express itself. Okay.
Yes, about ignorance.
Yeah.
Sometimes to ignore something or to want to ignore something is a way to preserve yourself from your own monsters.
Yeah. True. Yeah. So it's okay if it's temporary, but if I do it all the time, at some point my monsters will take over. So at some point I need to take care of them. But sometimes I need to say, this is not the time. I need to first nourish myself and then I'll take care of it. So you're right. The question is, if we continue to do it more and more and more, the monsters will not become smaller. Usually they don't become smaller. But sometimes we can take care of our monsters in an indirect way. By nourishing myself, the monsters also enjoy. So, is that clear? Yeah. But sometimes it's not the right time to deal with something. That's true. It's true. Yeah. But then your intention is not to know forever. Your intention is right now, no. Later, yes. So maybe it goes back to the intention of why do you ignore right now? Yeah. Anyway, I'm not saying it's easy, but can we go to patience, to Shanti? Inclusiveness? Yeah? This would be the last one for today. So again, Thich Nhat Hanh very wisely, I think, called it inclusiveness. He says, if I'll try to squeeze a lot of sand into this, or something, stones into this, or a glass, it will break, right? Wouldn't have space. And sometimes we're like that. We're very small. We don't have much space, so anything can break us. Anything that comes in can break us. And then we need to see what to do. Sometimes we don't have space, so we need to respect that and wait until we have more space. So basically the practice of patience is to see how can we make ourselves bigger so that not every little thing breaks us. Because there is no way to pass through life without adversities, without something happen that we don't like. There is no way. Right? So we want to be inclusive, we want to be patient. So there's one thing that is very helpful for me to understand patience. One description, one way to describe our small heart and big heart, right? Okay. So this is let's say this is our comfort zone. This is where I feel comfortable. Nothing bothers me. For some person, one person, it may be one thing. For another person, it may be another thing. Okay, but this is my comfort zone, and you have your own comfort zone. It may be bigger, it may be smaller, depending on our life conditions. Okay, this is comfort zone. Nothing triggers me, nothing pushes my buttons. And then we're out of our comfort zone. We don't really know. It's unknown, a little bit unknown. I didn't see that before, I didn't know that, okay. And we can learn from it. So we can call this learning zone, challenge zone. Yeah. Usually, if we only stay in a comfort zone, it becomes smaller and smaller. Don't move this way, you know. And we go very rigid. So we want to sometimes get out of our comfort zone. Sometimes we have no choice. We are forced to get out of our comfort zone and be in a learning zone or a brave zone. Patience has courage in it, brave. Brave zone, learning zone, whatever you want to call it, challenge zone. Okay? We make our heart bigger to other options, other possibilities. And then out of that, there is danger zone. I can't handle it. It's too much for me. I can't learn anything from it. It's trauma, right? But even there are studies that show that there is, I know you probably know the term post-traumatic stress disorder, but there's also post-traumatic growth. And there's research about that. You're very hurt, you're very affected, but you can grow from it. And again, this is different for each person and for ourselves in different times. And also this. So practicing patience is making this zone and this zone bigger and bigger. So then less and less becomes danger for us. And still there will be things that will be too much for us. And we will have to kind of stop and take care, really take care. So is that clear, kind of how we want to practice in such a way that we feel more and more comfortable with more and more things inside and outside? We can learn more and more, be not afraid to learn. And what is considered a danger zone for us will be not as big as before. And we need patience with ourselves with that too, okay? Not to force ourselves out of a comfort zone if we're not ready. So this is something I find helpful when thinking about the practice of inclusiveness or patience. How can I stretch my limits? And I need to want that. First of all, I need to have the intention to stretch my limits. Otherwise, I wouldn't even start. But you know people that for some reason, out of fear or other things, just always want to stay in their comfort zone. It's tough, right? It becomes tough, especially older people. It's hard for them to change. It becomes tough. Because every little thing bothers us. So you see how practicing patience is, first of all, for us. First of all, we benefit from it. So we want to have. So the practice is very much, even if we spoke about the monsters before, the bodyguards. If we have more space, they don't look as scary, right? If we create more space inside of us, things look less significant or feel less significant. And there's a teacher called Shantideva, and he said that when we practice patience, it's good to start with small irritations. Because when there's a big irritation, it's too tough. But a small irritation, we can start with that. Notice a small irritation and see how can we practice patience with something small first? How can we practice resilience? And in it, there's also trust. We trust that we have the capacity, that things will be understood, that we can transform things, that things can be transformed. Before I spoke about creating a relationship that creates safety, so patience is part of that relationship. So I want to, again, try to be practical. How to practice patience with a monster inside of us, okay? How to practice patience with something that's a feeling that's difficult. And there's a very practical way of doing it, and we can try. So, can you think of a feeling that maybe is even present now, that is difficult for you? I know that for me, if I'm confused, I don't like it. I don't like to be confused. Or insecure. So is there such a feeling inside of you that you feel like, I don't like it? Is there such a feeling? Yeah? Can you give examples? You don't have to, but if anyone has examples of one word, like feeling that is difficult for you, or flooding you. Yeah? Anyone?
Self-criticism.
Self-criticism and?
Feeling pressured.
Feeling pressured. Yeah, okay. So we're going to use language. If each of you can sort of notice something like that inside of you, you don't have to say it. Let's say I'm confused. It's not true right now. I'm not confused. But let's say I'm confused. Okay? Or I'm worried. I'll say I'm worried, but you can say whatever you want. So first of all, what do we say? Usually we say I'm worried, right? I'm angry. Right? I'm self-criticizing, right? I don't like myself, like that, right? I'm confused. Now see if you can say, I'll write it down because it's really nice. I'm confused, I'm upset, I am something. I am that feeling. I am something. Now see if you can say, instead of I am confused, I am self-critical, and the other things that you shared, I feel confused, I feel self-critical, I feel pressured. There's already me and the feeling, okay? I am confused, I am worried, I feel worry. Next stage up is, so we take out the I. There is confusion, there is worry, there is self-criticism, there is pressure here. Yeah? Does it feel different already? And now the next step, which is, it takes a bit of a jump here. A part of me feels. So there's other parts of me. We're practicing patience, right? Before we were only that thing. And now we're like, we're bigger and bigger. We make ourselves bigger and bigger, then we have patience, right? A part of me feels, it's not even is, but feels worry, confusion, pressure, self-critical. Okay? All right. This is using language to practice patience, and then you can ask yourself, so how do I feel towards that part of me that feels self-critical, pressured, confused, worried, and angry, sad? How do you feel towards it? Now you have a relationship. Now you can do what Thich Nhat Hanh describes. There's a feeling here, and you embrace it with your mindfulness, with your compassion. How do I feel towards that part of me that feels so confused and doesn't like feeling confused, that feels worries and can't get out of it, feels worry and can't get out of it? You see, is that helpful? Kind of practice patience with our own inner feelings, basically. I don't even want to call them monsters, they're feelings. And so in that way, patience is the antidote for anger, for aversion. I don't want to feel like that, right? Grudge, resentment, and attachment. And we're brave enough to face our little inner monsters or inner little creatures and start to have a relationship with them. And in it, I can start to see, well, maybe my confused part has a good point. Maybe there's a goodness in that suffering, right? So there's the wisdom of, in patience, there's a wisdom to see the goodness of pain and suffering. Pain and suffering don't always have goodness in them, but sometimes they do, especially if we know how to practice, right? So that's the wisdom inside the patience, to see the goodness of our challenges. And then again, we don't immediately react. We don't immediately try to solve things by blaming, by ignoring, by going to sleep, and so on. We take our time. So that's the patience. We take our time and we stay with it. We stay with things that are uncomfortable in a wise way, so we can transform them. So that's patience for you, for us, for all of us, avoiding the second arrow. So maybe before we end, I'll give you an example. So when we think of grief, it seems like a not so nice thing, right? Grief, because we lost someone. So about a year ago, a bit more, I lost my father, and then in a few months, my mother. So there's a lot of grief all at once, and my father passed away suddenly, and my mother was very sick, so it was a way. in a way, a relief, but not really. But I saw that grief is made up of it's not what you think it is. It's made up of all sorts of things. So first of all, it was very clear to me that I didn't have much patience because it was painful. I didn't have much patience, but then my focus was very clear. I really knew what's important and what's not. And I could also see that in grief or in loss there is a deep connection. I started to see things that I didn't see before. And I started to see that I have maybe my love for my parents was different from what I thought. So in that grief there was love also and care. So that is the practice of patience. You look at something, you take your time and you see it differently. You stay with it. And you're not angry with yourself that you're reacting in a certain way because something happened. So I saw that I am very impatient because of the grief. So I decided I need to have less interactions because there's only that much I can take. So that's patience with me, with my own situation. But I also saw that in that grief there were other things than what I would expect. It's a very difficult, if any of you experienced it, it's very difficult to describe. It's not what you think. It's really not what you think. So this is patience, to see the different aspect of something. And to see the goodness of what we think is bad. So sorrow, when we feel sorrow, it can be a good balance for example, we think of sorrow as a bad thing, but it can really balance our pride sometimes. So you see, patience allows us to see things like that in a different way, and being present so that our heart can grow. And the most important thing is in patience there is the capacity to see, to think and see things in a way of this and that, not this or that, right? To see complexity. It's not good or bad, it's something. It's not something I don't want because it's bad. It's this and that. It's painful and something. So we see things in a more complex way, and that makes our life better. So I saw this, I happened to see an organization in England that is called Solutions Not Sides. And immediately when I saw that name, I felt like I don't know. Felt very, solutions, not sides. Sides, one side or another. I don't know, I'm not sure what they do, but they do all sorts of engaged stuff. And I thought it was so nice to hear that in a world that is so polarized. Solutions, not sides. So that's patience. Because solutions, if you don't take sides, solutions take time, right? So you need patience. So I think, do we have patience to listen to a reading from a book, not too long? You have patience for it now? Yeah. To go beyond that dualistic thinking. So this, because Thich Nhat Hanh writes better than I would say it. So this is from a book called Zen and the Art of Saving the Planet, if you're interested. So this is the connection between patience and freedom, okay? So it says, the chapter is called Reclaim Your Agency. I'll try to read it slow, okay? Zen Master Lin Chi declared that we must each be our own master and not be a victim of our surroundings. We must keep our freedom, and when things around us do not go as we wish, okay, even when things around us do not go as we wish, it is our responsibility to be master of the situation and to make use of whatever situation we are in to awaken. Wherever you are, you can be sovereign of yourself. An active person always asks, what can I do? What can we do to keep this situation from getting worse and to help it to improve? How can I help the other person or people to change? Giving rise to that mind of love and the vow to help, we are no longer passive, no longer the victim. We become active again. Bodhicitta, that's the mind of love, gives us energy and the will to be active and to change. It's very important. Even though we haven't done anything yet, just that insight and the will to change already lessens our suffering 80 to 90%. If we look carefully, we see that there is no one in the world who has not been the victim of difficult situations. Society is full of discrimination, violence, inequality, hatred, craving, and greed. People are overwhelmed by these things and make each other suffer and make other species and the planet suffer. So, we can't say there's anyone who's not a victim of something. And we should remember that even in ourselves, we also have the seeds of discrimination, anger, craving, violence, and unskillfulness. When you are able to transform yourself, you're in a situation to help transform those you believe to be your oppressor and the source of your suffering. This has been my own experience and practice. I do not have enemies, even though I have experienced a lot of suffering, a lot of injustice. There are those who try to kill me, suppress me, but I don't see them as my enemies. I want to help them. I have changed and transformed myself, and that is why I no longer see myself as a victim. And then he speaks about not being a victim of your anger, for example. With the energies of understanding, insight, and compassion, you are free, and you can help others become free. And I'll read just one last thing. Every time we fall is an opportunity to stand up again. That's the attitude of one who is active. Every time I fall, I'll stand up again so life can get better. That's the attitude. Although there are obstacles and challenges, we don't allow ourselves to be overwhelmed by them. We stand up like a hero. With that intention, a great deal of suffering falls away already. So that's what I have to say today about the first 3 paramitas that are on the other side. So thank you for listening. Before we continue with announcements, any other questions or remarks? Thank you very much. Maybe we'll listen to the bell and then we can have maybe announcements. Yep.